Hi, everybody. I have received a lot of really super awesome questions from you all over the course of the last couple of weeks. And so I just wanted to answer them now. I got 15 of them. Some of them are ones that I touched on at the end of some of the calls, but I just wanted to put them all in one place so it'd be super easy for you to get access to them and just go back and review them because I think there's some good information in here. So let's take them one at a time. How often do you tap during the week? So for me, I have 3 types of tapping that I do every single week. Number 1 is the type of tapping that we are doing right now in this particular program. I tap at the beginning of my day to help me to navigate my day in simple ways, to clear resistance, to take action, to set up for my day. The second way that I tap during the week is whenever I am in a resource state during the day in which I need to be responding to. So if I'm feeling overwhelmed, if I'm feeling frightened, if I'm feeling disappointed, whatever the emotion comes up in the moment. And the goal of that particular tapping is emotional first aid. So it's just pushing me back into a situation where I'm grounded, I'm in the moment as I am navigating what is in front of me. So those happen every single day. The stuff that happens at the beginning of the day happens every day. The stuff as I'm navigating my day happens as necessary. Then typically once a week I set some time aside. Usually it's on the weekend where I'll spend 45 minutes or an hour where I'm going after bigger issues. Sometimes this is time where I'm working with my practitioner so that I'm getting the help that I need and the support. And that's the time, like I said, I'm doing big picture stuff. Morning, set up the day. Middle of the day, deal with what is coming up. End of the day or end of the week, do big hunkin' things where I'm trying to do deeper transformation. Excellent. What are the finger points and how are they used? A year and a half ago, I wrote a book that never got published for a longer story that we're not going to get into here. And one of the things that I did in the book that the publisher requested was kind of the history of the tapping points. Most people are in a situation when they learn tapping today, they learn what we call as the shortcut method. And typically that's top of the head, eyebrow, side of the eye, under the nose, chin, collarbone, side of the hand. Now, some people will also incorporate the liver spot. The liver spot is on the rib cage directly below the nipples. I believe, and this is just a guess, the reason why the liver spot disappeared when most people were teaching it is twofold. One, it's a little bit embarrassing to talk about. How do we locate it? How do we talk about it? And the other is sometimes for some women, it is difficult for them to get directly to it because their breasts are laying over the top of that particular thing. And so to make things easier and simpler, people stopped explaining that. The other points are the points that are on the fingers. Now, the finger points, with one exception, in the traditional version of it when it was taught, there were 4 fingers that were taught, and it was these 4 fingers. So it was nail height, side of the thumb, side of the index finger, side of the middle finger, and then side of the pinky finger. At the time, the ring finger was skipped because when Gary first started teaching EFT, he used the gamut point for a process that was tapping on the back of the hand, when it's right here between the pinky finger and the ring finger in that valley. And so what happened was people started skipping that because we were getting the point right here. And if you are going to use the ring finger, it's actually on the other side. But the reality is when we're tapping and we're tapping like this, the percussive sense is actually going to get it on the other side. The way that we use the finger points is the way we use any other points. They're just points that add in, there are over 250 acupuncture points in the system that we could be using. I believe the finger points went out of fashion just again because it was complicated. It was so much simpler just to teach a couple of points in the body in this nice apparent straight line, because it's not really a straight line, but it feels very organized by doing it in that way. And so the finger points disappeared, I think, out of simplicity. So as you are tapping, feel free to use those points or not. As always, the most important question is, how is it working for you? So if what you are doing is working great, keep doing it. And if what you're doing isn't as working as well as you'd like, try something new, add the finger points, or you can look at any acupuncture chart, and any of the points that are on an acupuncture chart are points that we can use. Next question. What is the rake? The rake is, I think, one of the few things that I have added to the tapping canon that I really like. The way that you do it is you take the fingertips of all 5 fingers, you do a little ring around the rosy around your belly button, and as you start tapping with all 5 fingertips, you start working your way up until you get to your collarbone. And then when you're at your collarbone, you just go back and forth across the front 3 or 4 times. And then after you're done doing that, you get back to the middle, you go back down, and you take a nice big deep breath. The reason why I think that works so well is on the front of the body are lots of meridian channels, so we got all sorts of tapping points in here. And so by doing that with 5 fingers and going back and forth, you're sitting 40 or 50 points in that particular process. When I do it, I can just immediately feel my entire body relax. So if I'm about to give a presentation, if I'm about to do something scary, if I'm going to take a test, or if I just need to relax really quickly in the moment, I use that particular technique and it works really, really well. What do you mean when you say that intentions are not measurements? So one of the bonus sections of this particular program is we tap on our intentions. And oftentimes when we do that tapping, I'll say something like, these are my intentions for the day, but it's not a measurement about whether or not I've been successful. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to be in a situation where I set an intention for the day, and if I don't meet that intention, it feels like I have failed in the process. And so what this does is it gives me the ability to navigate my day where I'm saying, this is the thing I'm heading to, but the success of my day is not based on whether or not I hit that intention, because there are lots of things that are going to happen over the course of the day which are unknown, which I'm not exactly certain how they are going to turn out. And so as I'm doing that, I want to make sure that I am in a situation where I'm using it something to shoot for, but then I'm also being gentle with myself in regards to when unexpected things show up as I am navigating the day. And so what this does is it gives me the ability to engage with that without being overwhelmed by that as something I have to do today. Instead, it's something I'm heading towards this. And by naming that, I'm more likely to make good, thoughtful actions as I navigate the day. Is there a way that I can tap to set my day up for success and never have to do it again? Oh, I wish that were the case. But the reality is, when we're setting ourselves up for the success in the day, it's based on the things that are happening in our life, and it's based on the things that are happening on this particular day. And so the process that we're using is a process that allows us to set ourselves up for success as we are navigating our day. But unfortunately, I have not found a way that we can tap once to set up our day and never have to come back to it again. Can I teach other people the techniques that I'm learning in this, and can I use them with my clients? Yes, yes, and yes. The thing that I always ask is that if you're going to use any of my material, that you just simply give credit where credit is due. Just say, hey, I learned this thing from my friend Gene. He's at Tapping Q&A. So feel free. I want you to use these resources and use them as well as you can. Innovate on them, transform them, turn them into something that is good and useful for you. And as you're transforming them, again, if you can give some credit saying, hey, I learned this thing from Gene and this is the way I'm evolving it. Or at a certain point, it's hard to remember where it came from. It's not the end of the world. If you're using this stuff and you're making your life and your client life better, go for it. I want this to go far and wide, because the healthier and happier everybody is, the better our world is and the better my life is. So I actually get some benefit from that as well. So yes, please feel free to use this stuff. At times, I feel I should tap on each point for a long time. Is that a good idea? Again, to go back to our idea of how's it working for you. If you are getting an intuitive hit that you should just be tapping on one spot for a long period of time, absolutely listen to your system as you are navigating that. For me, if I'm ever in a situation where I'm just trying to tap on something quickly, or I'm doing a lot of thinking about something internally, what I'll do is I'll just tap on the collarbone point and just keep tapping on the collarbone, keep tapping and keep tapping and keep tapping. And by doing that, I get a lot of relief. So if as you're tapping, you just find yourself stuck on one particular spot for a long period of time, listen to your system. If it's useful, keep after it. If it's not, try something new. Is there a benefit to tapping on a spot that I don't know is a tapping point? Absolutely. Again, if you look at an acupuncture chart, you're going to see over 250 points, which we could stick a needle in if we were an acupuncturist. And if we can stick a needle in it, we can tap on it. So for example, there's a point up here that I find myself tapping on quite a bit as I'm working my way around the eye points. So trust your instinct. If it is causing you pain, if it is causing you injury, don't do it. But the reality is, if you're not sticking your finger into an open wound and you're not poking your own eye out, it's pretty hard to hurt yourself while tapping. So if instinctually you feel like you should be tapping somewhere, listen to your system. The worst thing that is going to happen is you're sitting here going, boy, I want better for myself, and I'm going to waste 9 whole seconds tapping on a point that may or may not be useful. So give it a try. If you find it useful, keep doing it. And who knows, you might even develop the new next best tapping technique that all of us need to be doing. So give it a try. Trust your instinct. You often say, I give myself permission. And there's another tapper I know who uses the phrase, I wonder if it is possible. Could you explain the difference between these two and why these phrases are used? So the reason why we're using phrases like this, I give myself permission and I wonder if it's possible, is we are softening the blow. And what I mean by that is that when I'm working with a part, an internal belief, that part is trying to do its best. And it's not that I have multiple personalities, but you know what it's like to be of two minds. And you also know what it's like to be told what to think, feel, or believe. And so for me, I love the phrase, I give myself permission. So I'm not saying you have to, but if you want to, you have permission to do that particular thing. I give myself permission to heal. I give myself permission to have insight. I give myself permission to know that I'm good and lovable. So I'm not forcing a part of myself into it. I wonder if it's possible is another way of looking at that exact same reframe. It's like, I wonder if it's possible that I could accept myself more. And by doing that, again, I'm not forcing my way in, but I'm asking a question, which is giving me the opportunity to have a little clarity, which is allowing me to step into it in a different way. So that's the reason why I give myself permission. That's the reason why that other practitioner uses, I wonder if it is possible, is it's a way of accessing information to bring to our subconscious mind in a way that is not forcing it in, so the subconscious mind is not resisting it. You often use the phrase, I give myself permission to be gentle with myself. Is this need to be gentle idiosyncratic, or is this something that you think is universal? I don't know. I'm guessing it is universal. Lots of my clients do that. One of the things that we are really bad at is being gentle with ourselves because we understand our intention. And so when I see you acting in the world and I see you do something good, I'm like, wow, it's awesome you did something good. When I am moving through the world and I want to get 100 and I get an 85, the only thing I'm noticing is I didn't meet my goal. Where you see me do something at an 85 and you think that's awesome. And so this idea of being gentle with myself is this idea of recognizing that I continually need to remind myself of the context in which the thing happened in the past. Because it's really easy for me to judge myself on incomplete information or to judge myself on the new information I have about something. And so this idea of consistently being gentle with myself, being gentle with myself, being gentle with myself is the idea of trying to take care of myself. And so in 2020, like my work for the entire year, I always pick one thing to be my work for the year, and that was to be gentle with myself. Because I recognize that when I'm gentle with myself, I show up more effectively, I show up more generously, I'm kinder with myself, and I happen to be kinder with everyone else around me. So I'm guessing it is something that is universal, and I'm guessing there are people who are so enlightened they don't have to worry about it. But it's something that shows up daily for me and regularly with my clients. Do you have any tips for an evening tapping routine? I was actually talking about the idea that I'm going to create an end of the day process based on some of the stuff that I do. And the person I was having drinks with, she said, you should call it the 9 p.m. No Action Club, because it's the idea of ramping down at the end of the day. And so there will be something much more comprehensive that I'm going to be producing over the course of the next couple of months to do something similar to what we do at the beginning of the day. In the meantime, my favorite end of the day tapping is to ask myself 4 questions. And the 4 questions are, what was the hardest part about today? Tap on that. What was my favorite part of today? Tap on that. What am I worried about for tomorrow? Tap on that. What am I looking forward to tomorrow? And I find that a really simple formula to end the day, even to ask the questions without tapping. This is one of the things that I love teaching parents to do when they tap with their kids at the end of the day, because those are questions that kids can answer. And what you're doing is you're giving them the ability to release any of the stressors from the day or anything they're worried about tomorrow so they sleep better. And you're teaching them emotional intelligence so they know how to engage into these sorts of questions. And oftentimes, when parents are doing it with their kids, I have the parents answer the questions as well. Now, obviously, you're not going to go into all of the details of the struggles that you have. You know, when you're tapping with your 7-year-old at the end of the day, you're not going to be like, yeah, I'm really worried I'm going to lose my job. Like, that is something for you to do your work on your own, not in front of your 7-year-old. But you can be honest. You know, what was the hardest part of the day? Well, I had a fight with one of my friends at work. That's something that a 7-year-old can understand. And so by doing this, 1, it gives us a really simple formula for us to navigate the end of the day. And 2, if you have some littles in your life, it's a great way to reflect with them, to do some tapping so they are not carrying stuff around, and teach them emotional intelligence in the process. Let's see, what else do we have? Is there any additional benefit or harm in tapping on 2 different points at the exact same time? Now, oftentimes when you see people tap, because we have points that we call bilateral, being on both sides, where people will tap with 2 hands. And when people are tapping with 2 hands, oftentimes what they do when they get under the nose and the chin is they just do this. And so there's absolutely nothing wrong or harmful that I have ever encountered in tapping in that particular way. And so you can be in a circumstance where you can tap on multiple points at once. The reality is when I'm teaching people the collarbone point, I have them make an L like this, and I have them lay their thumb and index finger on their collarbone so they can get that collarbone point. But as we talked about earlier, there's lots of points in there, and so we're getting lots of points there. So you can tap on as many points as you want at one time, and you can even be in a circumstance where it's like kind of slapping your face and getting them all if you want to do that. So no harm. If you feel the instinct to do that, listen to the instinct, and again, how's it working for you? If it feels like it's beneficial, keep doing it. If not, try something else. I love variety and am easily bored with my daily self-help routines. It seems like in the process that we're doing, we do step 1, wordless tapping every day without fail, and then we pick and choose for about 20 minutes. Is that what you typically do when you're tapping on your own? Very much so. You know, I like to do some things that are really super foundational. For me, when I'm tapping on my own, not in the context of the program here, I actually do 10 minutes of wordless tapping. But when I'm tapping on my own, I'm not doing call and response with the phrases. I'm not doing explanation. So I have more time in my morning when I'm tapping on my own than what we're doing right now. And then absolutely, like the menu of things that are in the book are a menu of things that I like to start with. And so I have a tendency to find at the beginning of the week and the beginning of months, I'm more likely to be tapping on intentions. When I have hard days ahead of me, I'm more likely to be tapping on my to-dos and asking for support and protection. So absolutely, 100%. As you look through that menu, some of those things are going to resonate really well with you, and some of those things are going to resonate with you on this particular day. So choose the thing that makes the most sense for you. Why do I yawn a lot more on some days than others? I don't know. The reality is that when we are yawning, it is a symbol that we are leaving fight, flight, or freeze, and we're returning to growth and regenerate, and the body is pulling oxygen in. That's what a yawn is. And when we are tapping on some issues, as we're releasing stuff, the body just needs more oxygen. But the thing to be really clear about is the number of yawns you are experiencing does not equal the depth of transformation. It is possible to have an amazingly transformative session without yawning at all, and I can have a session where I yawn, and I feel a little bit better after the fact. And so as we are leaving fight, fight, flight, freeze, fog, or flop, and the body goes back to growth and regenerate, not only do we yawn, sometimes you're going to burp or you're going to have gargling in your stomach or farting because, again, attention is going back, energy is going back to digestion. When I'm in fight, flight, freeze, or fog, my system is not doing anything long term. It's just trying to survive. And so by relaxing, in addition to yawning, you might know watery eyes, you might know gurgling stomach, burping, and you might notice farting as the system is just doing its job and it's resetting as it's doing that, as it returns to that functionality. How is it that both positive and negative statements work with EFT? Is one more useful than the other? So there's a lot of conversation about if I'm tapping on the negative, am I tapping the negative in? Or there is the sentiment that is repeated over and over again, but is not true, that the subconscious mind does not hear the word not. And the good news is that is parroted much less often than it was 5 years ago, but lots of practitioners said it. It's that wacky game of telephone where if you repeat something over and over and over and over again, everybody starts to believe it to be true just because we've heard it so much. And what that means is people believe that if I said, I don't want to lose weight, since the subconscious mind doesn't hear not, I'm saying, I do want to lose. Let me rephrase that. Saying, I don't want to fail, the subconscious mind hears it as, I do want to fail because it doesn't hear the word not. And that's just simply not true. So when I am tapping on a negative phrase, it's a great way for me to tune into what is going on. I'm going to fail. This isn't going to work. I'm going to disappoint everybody again. I'm tuning into the emotion and I'm tapping. If I tap on a positive phrase and there is a part of me that does not believe it to be true, it's going to speak up. I'm going to lose 45 pounds. Subconscious mind, no, you're not. I'm going to be successful. You failed before, you're going to fail again. So when I'm saying a positive phrase and my subconscious mind does not believe it, my subconscious mind speaks up, which means that I am tapping on the negative thing, even though I didn't say it. So for me, I like bouncing back and forth between the negative that I'm experiencing and the positive reframe in the direction that I'm going, because it triggers different things in my mind as I'm thinking about it, and both of them are beneficial. Use the one that works best for you. I find it best to use both of them, bouncing back and forth. There we go. That is our collection of questions, 15 of them there. I hope you found that useful. If you have any other questions, hit me up, Gene@tappingqna.com. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.